to criticisms that he hasn't handled a class, his CV will show that his first job was as a religion teacher in the elementary department of La Salle. And if one would dismiss that work as puny, then that person hasn't set foot in a school in which young kids, not yet weaned from the milk bottle, pick their teeth with 29. If you will read his CV further, there's a common thread running through it, and that is a lifelong vocation of teaching students, running schools, and preaching the good word. In short, he has inhaled chalk, balanced books, and broken ground for new buildings. If you can't find harboring whistleblowers and hectoring the government as listed hobbies in his CV, trust me, they're there, lodged perhaps below some asterisks. As a Lasallian, I am voting for him under pain of being expelled from its alumni rolls. But more than that, pray tell me, how can I not vote for the principal of a school to which I have entrusted my children's education? It takes deep faith and profound belief to choose a school. I refer to La Salle Green Hills, of course, in which the daily commute through horrendous traffic seems to be a reenactment of Moses' march through the desert. So his being a Lipeño and a Lasallian have conspired to form a tipping point which prodded the mother of Batangas and of Lasallians Luis and Ryan to order me to vote for his confirmation. In her homespun wisdom, she told me, maraming nagpapakonfirm sa pare, pero konti lang ang nagko-confirm sa pare. And because it is my wish to have a real Merry Christmas and a peaceful New Year, I have to accede to the request of my powerful constituency of one. But I am doing so, not for want of domestic bliss in this season of placidity, but seriously because the nominee has the values and the vision, the commitment and the competence in running the biggest agency in the bureaucracy, so it will be able to produce citizens who will be able to seize opportunities, realize their dreams, and achieve their ambitions. DepEd will be Brother Armin's biggest parish. 1 in every 2 employees in the government payroll are under him. And 1 in every 8 pesos that is allotted by Congress is spent by his agency. His direct constituency of 24.5 million students, plus a teaching corps of almost 600,000, is thrice the population of Metro Manila. His real estate empire stretches to 163,000 school buildings, which sit on tens of thousands of hectares of land. But more than managing this physical and manpower inventory, his greatest challenge is to churn out graduates whose level of learning should at least be near global standards. And yet, he's being asked to deliver more on less resources. That maybe as a last resort, he should ask his boss upstairs to ask him to reenact Jesus' famous miracle of multiplying bread out of a single loaf and wine out of a single jug. It could also be a reason why in this most critical juncture in the history of our educational system, that a man of the cloth is heading the agency task to school our young so he can maybe produce a miracle. And if he does, I won't be surprised if there will emerge a Facebook fan page for his sainthood. There are those who question his fitness for the job on account of some religious views that might clash with the government's position on reproductive health. Remote as it is, I don't see it forthcoming. But when it does, I know that his answer will be this: I am God's loyal servant, but in this capacity, the people's first. I move for the confirmation of the nominee. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there any objection?
Mr. Chairman. Mr.
You have
Chairman.
the floor, leader.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. There are some members that have requested to make manifestations. So I hereby move, Mr. Chairman, to first recognize the Honorable Senator Jinggoy Estrada for his manifestation.
The Gentleman Senator from San Juan in the Republic of the Philippines.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are you also a Lasallian?
No, Mr. Chairman.
You're an Atenean?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I
Proceed.
think this is the day of the Lasalites. Senator Recto being a product of Lasal, and this representation, having been educated in one of the best schools here in the Philippines called the Ateneo, and being an Atenean, I also wish to endorse the confirmation of Secretary Luistro as the Secretary of Education and Culture. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Chairman, may I also ask that the Chair recognize the Honorable Congressman Roilo Golez for his manifestation.
Vice Chair, has the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this representation is not a LaSalle graduate.
You are an Annapolis graduate.
I am only a public school graduate, Mr. Chairman. Neither LaSalle nor Ateneo. But most of the boys and girls that came after me in my direct line are now students of LaSalle, and I'm very happy with the kind of education that they're having. On another reason, I believe in check and balance, Mr. Chairman, and I think in this government there must be check and balance. There is already a proliferation of Ateneans in this government, and I think it is very important that we check and balance the proliferation of Ateneans by having a Lasallian to head the biggest
Do not
department.
forget the UP.
The more prominent right now are the Ateneans, understandably, Mr. Chairman. And to provide the check and balance, we should have a Lasallian to head the biggest department of the government. The third reason is that I'm impressed by the ability of our appointee in selling himself. I witnessed this yesterday in action, and I think he will need this talent in order to sell his ideas on how to improve in a very creative way the Department of Education as one of the agents of progress and development of this country. And therefore, I support the confirmation of the Honorable Armin Luistro. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Majority Floor Leader, anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, there being no other members that wishes to manifest the motion to confirm Secretary Luistro, I move